Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to rise to the occasion. In prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters. And our guest here tonight, who we know is no stranger to this platform, and boy, over the past 2 years, when you think about appearances in Sportswire radio history, yes, he is certainly right up there. But could we maybe very well see his career change drastically before our own very eyes? Because you've seen he's got one championship belt, but now he's trying for two belts, and he's trying to be Crenson two belts, but also hold a singles world heavyweight championship. The talk was last year, finally breaking a drought that was nearly 2 decades long of major singles gold. He accomplished that last year, but not only accomplished that, but maybe he was the one that helped Sean Jovi rise to the occasion to become America's resident rock star. Is our guest now about to rise to the occasion and become Crenson two belts and take away a world championship from a guy who pulled, let's just say, a sinister like move that everybody wants to forget in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit? We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the card at hand. We'll talk about a slew of other things because, after all, our guest, he might be nonchalant, but could he very well once again be that new messiah that WCE needs to bring WCE back to the heights it once was, as WCE seems to be rising to the occasion once again, as they've had some of their best shows of late. We'll see if our guest can maybe have his own Sean Jovi-like moment this summer. Last summer was the summer of Jovi, but could this summer very well be the summer of Crenson? We're going to find out here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters. Let's introduce him because he certainly wants to rise to the occasion and tell us why. Well, that sinister guy, in his words, could be fill in the blanks, and it's going to be his moment for Daddy giving some company to that belt he's got on that right shoulder. So let's get right to it. So with that, wait for it. Further ado, here on the Sports Report. Number one, Sports Show. He is one half of the reigning, defending IMF Hardcore Tag Team Champions. He was simply put, once upon a time, nonchalant, a new messiah. But we call him just now, Nicholas The champ is here! Nicholas Crenson, how are you tonight?
Oh, I am doing great, Reverend. I am doing wonderful. And yeah, kind of did something I wanted you to do here because you mentioned that, yeah, I am nonchalant. I'm also the new Messiah, but I'm also one other name that I'm known by. I'm also known as the Psycho Wolf.
Yes, you were the Psycho Wolf once upon a time, but you're almost like Madonna.
Oh,
You got so many names. I got to remember. Well, Prince had a
right.
bunch of names. Or was what New Kids on the Block? What were they?
Block it.
NBA,
Yeah.
OTP. You're like everybody else. In the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit. It's got a whole bunch of names, and I need a scorecard to remember them. But yes, you have been here over the past 2 years in Sportswire history. Over our nearly 6 years, you are certainly up there in appearances, but. Nicholas Crenson, this one is different. And I'll tell you why it's a different appearance. I know you have been here so much. You were here on Friday's show unexpectedly. I know
Hmm.
you're back here next Thursday. Maybe you should be the guy that just takes up space on SportsWire alongside Mac 10. And well, you are kind of in a way like the usual suspects on SportsWire, along with Jovi
Oh
and
yeah.
Omen and Soldier, your brethren, and certainly the IMF. But it's different tonight because we're less than 48 hours away from your career potentially changing to call you Crenson Two Belts. It was once upon a time, we almost had a joke at your expense for over a year on Sports by Radio. Crenson, he hadn't won a singles belt. He hadn't won a championship. We think back in history, and we were comparing the last time teams had won a championship and their collective
Yeah.
sports, and the last time when Nicholas Crenson was a champion, who was the champions, and whether it was the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, college sports, WWE, and so on and so on. But you very well could be Crenson Two Belts. And as your title puts it underneath your name, you could be the next future WCE all out champion. And for those that are listening and watching here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, something that you've had a hand in over these past 2 years. Tell us why, in your words, you're going to be the future WCE all out champion.
Tom, I'm going to simply put it like this. I have Sinister's number. And yes, James, you have beaten me more times than I've beaten you, but I've also pinned you. I have submitted you, and don't forget, I'm one of the few people to say that they've knocked you out. And Sinister, you show up, Vindication. We go with 2 out of 3 falls. What happens? Yeah, you get me in the first one, but second fall, third fall, all me.
That was earlier in the year. Yep, right to start the season. You came back there, and in fact, you're 2-0 technically against that man named Sinister this year. So that's what you're counting on. But there's another factor in this. And in your words, you said it yourself. The man that should be the rightful holder to the WCE All Out Championship, James Marshall, or James Marshall as he's sometimes called, or Catalyst, and he's got your number. And we've actually had you both here in prior shows over the past 2 years before what happened. We remember the 30-minute Iron Man match you guys had. We've had the wars you guys had for that interstate championship. I mean, those wars are legendary. I mean,
Oh
they're
yeah,
legendary in WCE, and I would dare say it in backyard wrestling history in Wisconsin. But he's undefeated against you, and that could very well, yes.
not necessarily. Like I said, I have beaten him in a last man standing match, and while I didn't win the matches,
Yes, I know you
I
got pinfalls.
I got falls in a submission
You
over
got
him. But
pinfalls, but he's got your number. He's got your
yeah,
number.
yeah.
He's
But
got
I just from that, I know I can beat him. I know I can beat James Marshall. Yes, he's got the edge on me, but I know I can beat him. Just like I know I can beat Sinister. Because at one point you got to remember that Sinister at some one point was considered, well, when he was Craven Rage, like untouchable. Like
well,
nobody could touch him. And yet,
well, you certainly showed that this year is different. So why is this year different? I talked about in the intro, last year was the summer of Jovi. In many ways, you were responsible for that. Jovi's drastic turnaround. Jovi's a darling in this circuit right now. Some people have pinned Jovi on rebuilding WCE. Obviously, you're a huge part of that alongside him. James Marshall, we know, will play a huge role in that. But what has made this year so different for you in WCE?
this year, I've decided to kind of focus a little bit more on myself instead of trying to quote unquote help people. Yes, I do.
Hector. I mean, let's not go there with some of the names. I mean, there are definitely some forgettable ones you were around
Yeah,
there.
and but no, I started focusing more on my health, my mental health, my physical health. I am at this point right now as we talk. I'm actually going to go. So we started WCE back in August of 2021, so about 3 years ago this month. When we
3 years.
started, yep, when we started, I weighed about 244 pounds.
Really? You weighed 244?
Yep. Right now, as we are talking here, I'm now down to 198 pounds.
Oh my goodness. Has it really been 45 pounds over the past almost 3 years? Has it been that much?
Hmm.
So what do you accredit that to? That's actually an interesting question.
Um,
What do you accredit that
wait,
weight loss that's helped you?
basically, like, kind of cutting down on like junk food, like fast food. I do eat a lot of junk food at times, but I eat less than I used to. In the
Mhm.
main thing, and also adding, just adding like fruits or vegetables, doing like stuff where it's not a lot of carbs or it has a good set of protein. Like,
And has that helped you feel in this year you've had? Because you've had some big moments, certainly. I mean, in WCE, I mean, you've definitely had some major accomplishments. You've got a couple of big victories over Sinister. I mean, that's obviously things that maybe have eluded you in the past. I mean, it seems like, and you've got something that you're going with, and maybe that partnership with Darkfire, a man that we've seen you go to war with over the past years. I mean, we've had it here on this platform. I mean, you you had said a lot, but you and Darkfire, I mean, you guys are firing on all cylinders right now in WCE and outside of WCE.
yeah, and that's the one of the beautiful things about this year is me and Darkfire were practically at each other's throats last season, and now we are not only are we tag team partners, but we are one half of the IMF. Well, we are together the IMF Hardcore Tag
Yes.
Team
Yes.
Champions.
You are one half of the IMF Hardcore Tag Team Champions, and now you want to add some singles gold because we know you've got tag gold, but now to add singles gold and a world championship nonetheless, the all-out championship. I mean, that's something that has eluded you here in WC. I mean, a lot of singles gold has eluded you, but you've turned the corner, and that's a huge motivation where despite some of the different odds you're facing in terms of your opponents, your win-loss records, that is obviously going to give you a lot of fuel going in to this weekend.
And that is the wonderful thing that I love about this great sport we call wrestling, Tom, is that this weekend, not only am I going to become the WC All Out champion, but I'm going to take that belt higher than anybody before it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's hang on there. Let's slow down the jets a little bit. You mean to tell me you're going to take that belt higher to higher places? Now, I'd be curious for the audience, and what do you mean by that? Because obviously, we've had a couple of different champions in WC. Obviously, the man, whatever he's called at this point, has obviously been the most, let's just say, ballyhooed champion for different reasons. We've had
Mhm.
Mr. Marshall, who's obviously been a champion for it, and then another guy who's an interesting character, Kodak Kid or Mr. Brightside, has held that championship. So, what do you mean? Should you win the WC All Out Championship and taking that to higher places? What do you mean by that for the audience?
So here's the funny thing about me and winning the WC All Out Championship. It's because I don't need to worry about number one contenders because there is a slew of people that I would owe title matches to.
Right.
I want to face certain people in the ring, and I'm going to use that gold to get that
But you
opportunity.
got to
I'm gonna.
obviously get there first. You got to go win this weekend. I mean, so you got to obviously get there first. And you've got two opponents that they're gunning for you for different reasons. I mean, we know that Sinister has hated you. I mean, he's hated. Well, a lot of people don't like him, but he's hated you especially. As long as this platform has been working with WC, which is now over 2 years. It's been actually over 2 years now, and we've almost been together for I think about 2/3 or 3/4 of WC's history. I know time
Mhm.
flies, right? But I mean, he's hated you maybe more than anybody else I could think of.
Oh, that's the wonderful thing with him is I love the fact that he hates me because it's freaking mutual, buddy.
Well, there's a lot of people I know in this circuit that certainly feel
A-
the same way.
And he made the mistake of not wanting to of making me wait. Because I would have faced him at any other point earlier on than we just did at Vindication 3. But here's the thing: he wanted to make me wait, and while I had to wait to get that rematch with him from the first time we faced off, wait almost 2 years to do that. Here's the beautiful thing about all that, Tom, is that whole time I sat and I was watching and I was studying and I was seeing every single one of his matches.
I would
And
assume, except a few obvious clunkers with a few names I won't mention on this platform. But yes, the big
ev-
ones, the big names,
yeah,
the big names.
yeah, and
There was a couple of ones I don't think we'd like to bring up on this platform at all. With all
right. But I could see his flaws, his weaknesses.
And what do you now? Now, some people, when I ask this question, want to go out and say those things. But for you, what are those flaws? Are the flaws in the ring? Are the flaws outside the ring where he comes across? I mean, the most recent promo, it's to me, it seems it's more of the same again. You can change the name, but the perception's still the same. I mean, do you want
I
to go on the record and talk about those flaws, or you want people to go watch this Saturday when it's released eventually?
His flaw.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was.
I could reveal it, but I think I'd also
You
reveal
know
part of
that
my
you're in prime
strategy.
time. I know the deal. You're in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters. And you know that everybody in this circuit will be watching and paying attention to that. But let me ask you, though, the obvious question. I'll put up some links here, I'll put up some of the footage. I'm going to tell you why your opponents, or at least one of them, might have more momentum in a few minutes. But I'll ask you the obvious question, which I always do here for those that are listening and watching here in prime time, is what would it mean to you to win that all out championship? I know we've talked a lot in the past with you about championships, but this particular moment, should it come, Nicholas Crenson, this Saturday, you win that WC all out championship, what would that mean to you?
It honestly would mean a hell of a lot to me, um, just because it's an opportunity, like I said, to help. And what I mean by help is, give if I get that title, I'm going to treat it like a championship should be treated. I'm going to defend it like a championship should be defended. I'm not gonna like hide behind this, that, management, whatever.
Well,
And
well,
I'm
that was
going
even
to.
mentioned in Marshall's promo. I mean, you've mentioned it. I mean, it's obviously, let's not pull any punches. It was controversial the way that that individual who holds the title won the title. It was very controversial.
Here's the thing, and we can agree, disagree, whatever. Um, right now, yes, this is a world title, but also Jovi, the Interstate, he's basically turned that into a world title just by all the defenses he's done, not just in WC, but in IMF at Summer Bash. When he's basically done what a champion should do.
Well, I think certainly what Jovi has done, he has kept WC's name alive. Yes, on that point, but you're still going for a world title,
Oh
and
yeah,
it means a lot, and you've got a lot of motivation and to be a world champion. And we've talked a lot, like I said earlier in the conversation. You went a long time without gold. Did you ever have a time that you'd say, you know what, I'm never going to be a world champion again. But now here you are. Does that motivate you going into this Saturday?
Yeah, actually it does. And, the whole idea of, oh, I'll never be a world champion. Um,
Listen, it's a
I
big deal. Listen. We had Yoshi Matsuda, and he's a 16-time undisputed champion. 16 times, right? Yeah, it's great.
oh,
He's won 16 championships. We had on Comatose on Monday's show, and he's got 3 championship belts in his possession. We've got guys that come in all the time, but you, Nicholas Crenson, Mr. Crenson, whether it's the Psycho Wolf, Nonchalant, the New Messiah, whatever it is, you can't say the same thing.
mm-mm.
You're the complete antithesis of this, but now this is your moment. You can change all of that. You can
Yeah.
change that, and I gotta think it's gotta motivate you going into
Oh,
this.
hell yeah. Here's the funny thing, Tom, is like back in like 20 at the end of 2018, I didn't think I thought I was done.
Well, we
And
know that.
then
Yes, you spoke about that in prior shows. We know
and
Joe's
then
story. Yep.
yep, and then 2019 I get into a
Yep.
car accident,
And then
and then
COVID
that
happened. And COVID happened.
yep, I was training at a place around here, and then to get myself back, see if I still remembered everything, and then yeah, COVID happened, and then 2021, July 2021, everybody who basically got together to make and create the vision that was WCE, Liz, MJ, James, me, Jovi, even Pierce was part there at the beginning.
Yes, at the beginning.
But yeah, like and then winning the RCW title last year made me realize that I still can do this, that I can still get more out of this. And once the bell rings on at Rise to the Occasion, I'm going to do everything in my power to become WCE All Out Champion.
Well, we're going to find out, and obviously that's the poster for it. It's going to take place here coming up. It's an anniversary celebration like no other. It's the 3rd anniversary of WCE. 3 years officially just a few weeks ago. It's going to be Rise to the Occasion. We will see if Nicholas Crenson can rise to the occasion, where he's going to be squaring off with his longtime nemesis, James Marshall, and the man that he has had a number on that is sinister. We obviously know him as previously Craven Rage, whatever it is. But yes, he is the champion. But we will see if Nicholas Crenson can restore order, restore dignity to WCE. We will see if Nicholas Crenson can do those things. If you'd like to follow WCE, I'm going to make it very simple for you. So if you're out here for the first time, hit the sub buttons for him. WCE has obviously been with us for over 2 years. They have been one of our biggest supporters through and through. That's the sub button for them. Hit the sub button for them. They're at WC Heat on YouTube. They've got a lot of great stuff ahead. We've got Declaration of Slam Independence that did very well recently. We've got other stuff. Ring of Destruction was very successful. A lot of great stuff ahead. WC is on the road back to the heights it used to be. We will see if Nicholas Crenson is the man to lead WCE back to those heights once upon a time. Let me say hello to some people here for a few minutes. Zilla's in the house as always. Yes, Zilla respects everybody. Yes, Zilla. Maybe Zilla will be there on Saturday. So who really knows? I still want to know, like, will we see Zilla on Sportswire? I mean, I'm actually almost at 1,000 subs, so maybe when I get 1,000, we can have like Zilla on Sportswire, and so maybe Zilla's the person to take over for me on Sports Radio. Who knows, right? But
right.
I want to say hello to Ashley D. She used to be Trinity in XCW. She's now Ashley D. She's obviously looking for maybe her return to the podcast wrestling world. I say hello to her. Obviously, hope she's doing well. Il Drago, your colleague in the IMF, obviously you share a lot with him. You'll be seeing him next Saturday, and I believe you gentlemen will be here next Thursday because we have an all-out warfare show, which, of course, yours truly is sponsoring and supporting that show. Once again, as I always do, I always make sure to put the show up here on Sportswire Thursday night right before Saturday show. And also, I wind up buying a ticket each and every time. So if there's somebody out there that would like to go to the show, if there's somebody that would just want to experience pro wrestling, I will do that firsthand. I will always make sure to support those who have been here about All Wrestling Matters. Mr. Darkron is in the house, and obviously, Mr.
Hey, Darkron.
I'm sure you heard the news, Mr. Crenson. It looks like we're going to see a backyard havoc coming up here, November 9th to 10th in Bremen, Ohio. And boy, DKW and ALW, I might ask you about that. Boy, the fireworks there. Just can you imagine what's going to happen in Bremen? Big Man Cam and Darkron and Matthew Forsaken and Judas and Combat Joe, Joe Stone, and oh my goodness, Trey Mystic.
Man.
We'll get to that later. James Taylor, the legendary James Taylor, who's going to be back on Sportswire this weekend because he's got a major announcement. He's got a major announcement in ROEW, and I'm excited about that because you know when James Taylor's here on Sportswire, it is a party like no other. And speaking of parties, how about that house party we heard about coming up October 12th from Shock and Mickey Vargas? And Zilla says, yes, I respect James Taylor, and hello to him. Thank you for that. Big shout out to our friends over in beautiful Oregon, the beautiful, great state of Oregon, BTW.
What?
Yep, yes, we love Oregon. BTW is in the house on Monday. They're going to be back here very soon. We've got a bunch of guys coming up. Steven Storm is going to be in the house. We've got Comatose is going to be back here next month. And we've got RTG, the general manager of BTW. He is back here on August the 26th. Very excited about our friends in BTW. They put on a hell of a show. Season 6, episode 130 is Tuesday. Loved it. BTW Heat 8. They are closing in on 3,000 subs. Hit that sub button for them. Smash it. And then tell them the Reverend Tom Bryce sent you. And then when they get to 3,000 subs, we're going to give them a proclamation. It's so funny because BTW's trying to get to 3,000. I'm trying to get to 1,000. I think they'll get to 3,000 before I get to 1,000, but we're going to get there regardless. Yes, thank you. All Wrestling Matters. Ashley wants to say hello, DKW, Il Drago, Zilla, BTW, Taff, Sub Chief. Who's the chief? Good question. Want to say hello to the new LBYW champion in the house, Mr. Napalm. Napalm is in the house. I know I got to get him back onto Sportswire. I know there's a bunch of guys in the world from LBYW that'll be here. You got to bear with me with the schedule right now because I'm trying to save my voice because I'm trying to prevent being sick, which I felt like I was going to be sick earlier today, but I think I'm okay. So, but definitely we are going to make sure that we support our friends in Legendary Backyard Wrestling. Oregon has a Fed. Yes, they are in Roseburg, Oregon. They are about, I think, 6 or 7 hours away from Idaho. They were in Roseburg.
I was looking for a reason to go to Oregon.
So you want to go, wait a minute. Good question. This is actually a good point here. I'll get to some more comments. So Oregon. Now, let me ask you this question. Now, you're obviously a part of WC, which is in Appleton, Wisconsin, which I'm pretty sure about this because I've been working with WC for a long time now. But how would you find a way to get to Oregon? Because, again, I don't know much about anything. I don't know much about geography, but Wisconsin would be a journey to Oregon, no?
Yeah, it would, but I'd be willing to drive.
Now, what kind of drive would that be?
Probably a pretty long one, but one with a few stops. I mean, like the longest drive I've done so far has been Summer Bash, and I even had to go. So I had to go from De Pere, Wisconsin, where Joby lives, to Indianapolis. We hung out with King BW for a bit, and then we went to Bremen.
I saw the King BW post on Instagram. I saw that.
Yep. But something was going on with the ring, and we had to the van broke down with the ring, and I stepped up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to drive back to Indianapolis and back to Bremen to get everybody so we can get this ring up and going.
Well, that was quite a journey. You'll have quite a journey to Oregon, but if you want to right now, go give these guys a sub because they're almost at 3,000 subs. They're like, I think somebody can tell me either RJS or RTG, they're about like 50 some odd away. So hit the sub button for them. Once they hit 3,000 subs, I'm going to give them a proclamation on behalf of Sportswire Radio. So let's try to get them. I think when we first got in touch, we were at like 28, maybe 2870 or something like that, 2860. Now we're at 2940. And their last show just almost is at 500 views in 2 days. So Let's support them. They've got a great roster. You fit in very nicely with them. RJS, Comatose, you got Blackout, you got the BCF3, you got Swift, you got Jacob Frost, you got some really big name talents there, and you'd fit in there very, very, very well. Let me get to a couple of comments on that. And yes, they are from Roseburg, Oregon, which I corrected. I'm going to
Nice.
plug James Taylor's Lounge in a minute. There's a reason I'm going to plug that actually. Hang on tight to that, James, and I'm gonna actually do that for you in a minute. Ashley wants to say, I have to check it out, BTW. I have been feeling a call of the West, either Torrance, California, or Stumptown in Oregon. Well, maybe you should instead go to Roseburg, Oregon, and check out BTW, because BTW's got some really big stuff ahead. We're getting toward the end of the season in BTW, but you just never know. And you could meet some of the really premier yarders out there. Some guys that, I got to tell you the truth, for trampoline wrestling, they're some of the best wrestlers I've seen out there in the yard. Some really guys that have been around a while. Swift, Frost, Comatose is back. RJS. I mean, and they've traveled too. They went to New York. They went to Navon McDonald's promotion. I mean, these guys they're serious and they got a good product. I like it. I hope you like it. That's that's their YouTube page. Hit the sub button for them. And I tell you what, I would like people to get them to 3,000 subs. I want to support those that support us. They've been very
Nice.
kind to support us on Sportswire. And I got a comment there from management. Trust us, there's not much yarding on the West Coast. Yeah, there isn't. I mean, so I always wondered that. Why is that? Why is there not much yarding on the West Coast? I would think with the longer
Yeah,
daylight, warmer weather, I would think more people have open space. I would think.
I would think like I'm actually surprised we don't see more at least like I know there's probably a few in California we just don't hear about, but I'm surprised considering the wrestling culture of those areas that you don't see more backyard wrestling feds out of like Seattle and Portland.
I would think Oregon, and I think Roddy Piper, right, lived in a large part of his life in Oregon, right, in the second half of his life. So I would have thought
Not
Oregon would have been a hotbed for, just because of the space, just the
not
ability.
just Roddy, you had people like Sergeant Slaughter who like he started in Oregon as well, and then you
Right.
got uh
A lot of
uh
people. There's
Buddy Buddy Wayne, like one of the
and
best.
Brian Danielson's from Washington, right? So you would
Yeah,
think, Darby Allen's out from Seattle, so you would think that they
yeah.
would
And
be.
so is Swerve.
There you
Like,
go. So I would have thought naturally that would have been a hotbed for. I know we'll get back to WC in a second, and Ashley wants to say, well, Tom, the call of the West would be for comedy, but I could do a BYW side trip. You certainly should, because of your experiences in XCW, and you'd be going up in the world. You'd actually be moving up a ladder, because BTW is a lot more known than XCW. So consider this,
mm,
where you'd be going and getting a little bit more exposure. And this is no shade on XCW. It's just the viewership and the subs tell you that BTW is where you could get some major exposure. Portland would be a great hotbed for BYW or Underground as a whole. Yeah, I would have thought that. Portland, yeah, I think I mentioned that Portland has a hotbed for a lot of older pro wrestlers, which I totally makes sense. The weather, the environment, the people, that all makes a lot of great sense there. And I love the state of Oregon. Why? Because our friends in BTW are there. But speaking of links here, I want to put up, because I actually want to get this man to 1,000 subs, because he's always supporting us. He's always here on Sportswire Radio. He is the man that I bought the Promo Wrestling Federation from, even though I still haven't really done
no,
anything. Although I think Jovi's finally working on that, James. I think he's finally working on that. But if you like some music, you want some chill vibes, before we go back to WCE, let me go get everybody to go support Taffy's Lounge. You're looking
hell
for
yeah.
music, you're looking for some beats, you're looking for some relaxing, chill vibes to start your day, end your day, lunch break, coffee beats, chill vibes, whatever it is, relaxing, lo-fi, Wi-Fi, hip-hop, rock and roll, jazz. Think of it like if you have Sirius XM and you like watercolors, James has got something for you that'll basically the equivalent of that. So I want to see people here in the chat, people watching this, hit the sub button for Taffy's Lounge. He's almost at 1,000 subs. Buy him a coffee. Tell him I said it. Even give the tab to me if you want. But get the man to 1,000 subs. He's done so much here for us on Sportswire Radio. So go hit the sub button for Taffy's Lounge. He's only 123 away from 1,000. So if you want to hit the sub button for him, he'll hit the sub button back for you. So go support him, and he'll most certainly support you. He always does that here. He's always so generous with his time, and he's a little closer to getting to 1,000 to you than yours truly. But I'll get there, and James will roast me when I get to 1,000. But in the meantime, that's what you want to do. Go hit the sub button. Okay, so appreciate that. Got all that out of the way. And I want to talk about your recent promo that you said about some different things here and becoming that WCE All Out champion for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio. I'm not going to put all the volume up, but I do want to talk about the video here and setting the tables for us. So I'm going to put that up for those that are listening and watching here. And again, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you are here out there on Sportswire Radio, do hit the sub button for us. We are at YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579. So I definitely want to make sure that you support us and support those that support us. So obviously here, Nicholas Crenson, I'll put it up for a few seconds.
Hardcore Tag Team Champions. Don't worry, please. There's going to be more of this in the future. Feels good to have gold again. And now let's move on to even bigger news and important business for me. You see, I think this baby girl is getting a little lonely.
So lonely.
The only one on daddy's shoulder. And I figured, why don't we go get another? And by chance, I have just the opportunity to do that. Rise to the occasion. I am in a triple threat match for the WCE All Out Championship. It is going to be myself. It is going to be the unhinged James Marshall. And honestly, James, you should still be champion. You should be the one that I'm challenging.
You should be.
But there is another. The final participant is obviously the WCE All Out Champion.
When we get to the profanity, I'm going to edit it. I'm going to mute it.
Sinister. Sinister, you conniving.
We want to mute it there. So.
Yeah.
Twice, and I'll give you
I really don't want to get canceled.
Oh, you're good. You're good, man.
Leopold is convinced in the world he doesn't exist, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you think once you've seen him do it once, he'll find a more creative way to screw somebody over. But no, Sinister, Craven, I know you. You are just a one-trick pony, buddy. Whereas I study. I learned from the best. How the best that I learned from beat me last week. That tag match. Sinister, you're a coward, you're a fool. You are a false god. Because you like to think you're above everything. And you like to think that you're evil. That you're true evil, truly sinister. No, kiddo. No. For the shit you did, Daddy's gonna punish for it. You see, you want to say you're evil, you want to say you're sinister. Look in my eyes when I tell you this. You have no idea what I'm capable of. And I am going to eat you alive, bit by bit. Don't worry, James, I will leave you a few scraps of Craven, Sinister, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So you can get your pound of flesh. Don't forget, James, this is a triple threat match. This is every man for themselves. I know it. I know you know it. And now Sinister, he definitely knows it. Sinister, I like the fact that most people are doubting me this time. Because that's going to make it even more sweeter when I beat your ass. Championship. Like I said before, this baby girl is getting a little lonely.
I think we're at the end of that, so you can.
I realize that, and I'm going to take off the screen. All right,
Yeah.
a couple things I want to talk about. And I want to talk about the first part here, which is that in a way, you're going into this without that experience of winning the big one. Marshall has obviously been the measuring stick in WCE. He has held the interstate championship, the all-out championship. He is a guy that is obviously had success against you in title matches. And then, well, they're sinister. So you are in a way going into this without that experience of winning big title matches. So how do you overcome that, considering your opponents? They're going to go into this knowing that they've been champions, they've won time and time again in these big matches where even the IMF Hardcore Tag Team Championship, the way you won it was what it was. So talk to us about how you are going to overcome the fact that in big matches, you haven't had that success.
Simple. Why look at the past when you can just move forward? Like, yeah, I haven't had much luck in big title matches in the past, but the past is in the past for a reason. I'm more determined, I'm more motivated, and I am more hungry. I'm hungrier than I've ever been to be all out champion, to be a champion again and take gold up to the level.
But you can't, in one sense, take away the fact that in title matches, time and time again,
I've come up short. No, but I also can't let that define me. The only thing that,
but you, all right, in sports, right? I always bring the sports analogies because in sports, we said that on yesterday's show. We were talking on yesterday's show, and we were talking with the guys Shock, and we were talking about Mickey Vargas with this, and we had Trey Mysticality on, who was in a situation where he lost and now is going into a match similar to yours. In sports, all the time, a team that has been in the playoffs. You've been in the playoffs. You've been in title matches. You've been there. No question. You've definitely been there these past few years. You've hung around. Sure, you had the RCW title, but you held it for a brief period. You've got the IMF Hardcore Tag Team title. We'll see what happens there. But in sports, it's like teams that go to the playoffs and don't win. They don't win the championship. We talk about the Buffalo Bills all the time. 4 straight Super Bowls, didn't win it. We talk about the San Francisco 49ers the last 5 years. They go to 4 NFC championship games. They go to 2 Super Bowls, and they got nothing to show for it. We talk about the Buffalo Bills the past several years, and the actual with Josh Allen as the quarterback. Haven't gone anywhere. I'm from New York. The New York Knicks in the 1990s went to the NBA Finals twice, went to the conference finals on 2 other occasions. We're in the second round of the playoffs nearly a decade straight. Didn't win a championship. The Atlanta Braves in Major League Baseball won 1 World Series in a 15-year span of making the playoffs every time. You're kind of, in a way, that type of story. You've been there, but you haven't won. And you can say, yes, the future is what's ahead. I've got this title. It's going to be different, but it still carries over. You're going to go in there in time. You go there. Listen, when that bell rings, it's going to be something in somebody's heads, whether you might not be in your heads, but you better believe Sinister and Marshall have it in their heads, and they're going to use that to motivate and target you because they're going to feel that that's going to give them an advantage. There's always psychological and mental advantages. You even said it yourself about mental health. You talked about that in title matches. And going into it, the nerves are going to be there, and they're going to have that advantage over you on that.
Oh, they would be fools to even try to get the mental advantage over me, Tom.
Is going to try. I don't know about Marshall. I think he's a lot more competent.
Oh, Sinister buddy, don't try to play those games with me. Don't ever think you're capable of playing those types of games with me.
Well, we're going to find out. I mean, he's obviously going to obviously try. But what do you think also about the fact that you and Marshall have a common enemy, right? In Sinister. You guys have this hatred, this absolute disdain for him. As probably a lot of people right now in the circuit have, especially from you guys in WCE, as WCE guys. But what do you make of the fact that, and I said this when Jovi was here last week, and I know you heard what Jovi had to say, of course, America's resident rock star, that Sinister might be able to, and a lot of people are going to think that he is going to be able to skate by once again and continue his latest run as the WC All-Out Champion because of the fact that you and Marshall are going to be so focused on beating him up that it's going to backfire, and he's going to find a way to continue his run, and I'm sure from his vantage point, start another 400 to 500 day run as champion.
Yeah, I could see where you could get that he's gonna find a way from us.
He always does, and you know it drives people nuts in the
Oh, yeah.
circuit. You know, listen, people can say, yeah, it's water under the bridge now. People can say, yeah, it's all good and well, but it drives people nuts that he's the champion again, and he's going to use that to his advantage. That's why I say he's going to feel motivated because he knows your record in championship situations.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I need to point out here, Tom. He doesn't have an advantage in this match.
Why?
Because what's the one? It's a triple threat match.
Well, 33.3%, sure.
Yeah, and then 2, I don't even need to beat him. But you know what? I'm gonna try my best to make it sure it's him that I beat. I can beat Marshall and still get that belt off of him. And the other fun thing about all that is triple threat match. There are no rules, so I can fight as dirty as I want to.
But listen, I agree with you on a lot of that. We're talking with Nicholas Crenson, of course, who is one half of the IMF Hardcore Tag Team Champions. He will be in action a couple of different times here coming up. This weekend, he's in action for WCE. He is going to be there at Rise to the Occasion Anniversary 3 in the main event for the WC All-Out Championship against James Marshall and current champion Sinister. He'll also be in action next weekend at IMF's All-Out Warfare. Sportswire Radio will be sponsoring the event. Obviously, we'll have a lot of the guys in action coming up. And also, I'm going to make the announcement here. Sunday night, in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, Isaiah Rage is live. Isaiah Rage is here. 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on all video platforms. You will not want to miss that one. Trust me. You will not want to miss this one, whether you're a foundation member, you're a saint and a sinner, or you're Nicholas Crenson, just a tag team champion. But the point is that Craven Rage in title matches, or Sinister, right? Sinister / Craven Rage. In title matches, his win-loss record is far better than when he's not a champion. He is one of these guys, like him or not, he's more comfortable in championship situations. When he's not holding a title, yeah, we know what the record is. He's human. He's very human.
Mm-hmm.
But in title matches these past 3 years, we know the record, and he's going to feel no matter what the circumstances, he's got gold and he's the favorite.
Oh, I know. He's going to definitely feel like he's the favorite, and that's one of his best qualities is the fact that he's always going to have that ego.
I think it's one of his worst qualities. I think most people would agree with that, but okay, you can say what
but,
you
no, not for him, for me, because he will let himself get complacent.
Yeah, obviously, but he's also going to look at. I've been here before. I've been here against Marshall for the title. I've been there against you in these matches. I've been there with Jovi. I've been there with Kodak and Brightside. I've been there with Darkfire. I've been
the
there
dumbest thing anybody can ever do is look past their opponent every time they fight them.
I don't think he will, though. I think it'll be what a lot of people will feel will be the usual outcome. That's what they'll feel coming up this weekend.
I'm gonna guess I have to make everybody pleasantly surprised this weekend.
I mean, we're gonna find out, but I gotta ask you something about another factor in this situation. Obviously, we know that one of the reasons, in addition to Mr. Sinister winning that, and I don't even want to go down that road and discuss that, but there was a guy, Jonathan Pierce. Now, Jonathan Pierce, why is he important? For a couple of reasons. Jonathan Pierce was the one that attacked not only Sean Jovi, but also attacked James Marshall, which gave that opening for Sinister to be back on top. And last week on WCE TV, at Declaration of Slam Dependence, which, by the way, a lot of people tuned into, and it was obviously one of WC's strongest shows in a long time, Jonathan Pierce got a victory over
me.
you. And Jonathan Pierce, what do you think about this relationship between Pierce and Sinister? Obviously, both men want to get gold. Pierce wants the interstate title. He certainly is targeting Jovi. We know the situation there. But are you concerned about who could be maybe interfering, or somebody that could maybe tip the scales in favor of Sinister and a guy like Jonathan Pierce?
Honestly, no.
Why?
I'm not worried about that. Here's the one brilliant thing about Jonathan Pierce. You know when I said that I know people that are more evil than Sinister?
You said that Jonathan Pierce has hit you harder than anybody in your long career. You've been on the record, Mr. Crenson, of saying that.
It's not just that. He waited. He struck a deal with Sinister and helped him win the All Out title, but he also did something that I knew he was wanting to do for almost 2 years, and that's he got his hands on James. And I love
Yes.
James, I love Pierce, but remember, James, you were the one that ended his career the first time.
And but also there's that factor is, I would assume this is the main event. So if this is the main event, Pierce's match is over with Jovi. And we know what's happened with Pierce and Marshall already. And we know how you've already gone on the record and saying Pierce has hit you harder than anybody. And we also know the fact that Pierce has got a victory over you in this match that we're watching right now. So who's to say that Pierce and Sinister have a pact to run WC and they can rule it with an iron fist? I mean, Lord help us if that's the case. I mean, if WC wants to be run into the ground, that might be the strategy. But, I mean, that doesn't stop them. I mean, listen, Sinister would certainly, if he can feel to stay on top and cut a deal with Pierce. I mean, Pierce right now is probably, first of all, we know he's mad at Marshall. We know that he's mad about the fact Jovi's walking around with his title. Jovi's been on the record of talking about that. It's well documented, Jonathan Pierce and his hiatus, his sabbatical from WCE. And we know that it's got to burn. It's got to burn Jonathan Pierce, knowing the fact that guys like James Marshall have rose to the top in this circuit, have been considered a measuring stick, and especially Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, turned into America's resident rock star, America's cat dad, America's vlogger, America's gold winner, gold medalist. It's got to certainly burn. It's got to burn at the stake of Jonathan Pierce. And if he can make a deal with Sinister where it can keep himself and keep him around with gold, and obviously Sinister stays, and he don't care for nobody. These guys could have a pact and rule with an iron fist. And that could be a big factor coming into this match. You have to be watching your back.
You know, I would, but I also kind of know a little bit about Pierce.
You do?
And
What do you know about Pierce?
Well, here's the thing. There was somebody in the ring that gave him a cutter last time he was in WCE. And, you know, it might be friendly now, but here's the one thing about him is he doesn't forget people who wronged him. So, will I have to worry about him interfering on Sinister's behalf? Maybe. I will deal with that when we get to that.
But you know that Sinister, he's always two-step. Unfortunately, in WCE, we saw what happened, the way they worked together in this match. I mean, they've got...
He's 2 steps ahead because he's been playing checkers.
They have all the momentum right now. Jovi got attacked by Pierce now on 2 occasions. And we know the situation now. If Jovi beats Pierce, Pierce never gets a shot at the interstate title as long as Jovi's champion. You took an L going into the main event here.
Jovi.
I mean, they've got momentum, and that is such a thing. You know it. You've been at this sport. You have been a student of this game. If you're a fan of it, you know that the people that have the most right now, and Sinister's feeling good. He's always feeling good when he's got a championship belt. We know that. And Pierce is feeling good because he's obviously got Jovi's number. He's got your number, and we don't know the relationship between, Sinister and Pierce, that it could certainly tip the scales in both men's favor. And the dust could settle this weekend at Rise to the Occasion Anniversary 3. And, Sinister and Pierce could be the ones on top, and they could be on top for years to come. Lord help us if that's the case, but it could very well be a strong possibility.
Could be. But I'm going to deal with that. Because they know what? They're going to try whatever they want to try. I am determined to walk out of that show with that title. And I know I'm facing the uphill battle, Tom. I am facing that uphill battle.
You're definitely facing an uphill battle. There is no question you are facing an uphill battle. You are facing the fact you haven't held a world title in so long. You've got the situation, your win-loss record with Marshall. We know Sinister in world title matches. Pierce is back. He's changed the environment in WC right now. I mean, there is it's a tense environment right now. WCE right now, it's been talked about management all the time, but management is certainly, they're not controlling anything because we've got this situation. Pierce has walked in. Look at what he's done. We've got the situation with Sinister back on top. I mean, we've got basically Jovi and Pierce. What's going on there? We've got then Brightside and Darkfire. How about what happened with Prince Charles and Ray Uso? I mean, WC right now, there is no control in WC. And look at that move right there. And I mean, this is another reason why the momentum is with Sinister and Pierce going into their matches. And you are fighting odds because usually you want to go into a championship match with momentum, and you don't have it right now.
Yeah, but I'm also I'm one of the few people who, when I don't have momentum and my back is against the wall, I do have that tendency to rise to the occasion. Look at me. Look last year.
He just discarded you right there. I mean, he literally, he just discarded you like how WC might have wanted to discard Silverwolf after last year. I mean, but Jesus Christ. I mean, this is just, we're seeing right now, it's a pact between these two. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Honestly.
See, James Taylor just jumped in and was like, that's what the people are thinking right now. The backyard of the underground wrestling circuit is shuddering at the fact that we could be seeing a years-long run. Years long. We don't even want to put the volume up because we know the last time that Sinister was here, God help us. But listen, WCE's future is on the. Seriously, WCE's future could be on the line this weekend if Pierce and Sinister are on top, and they're on top for years to come. It certainly says we're shuddering it, and the ring does look nice. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe Wisconsin versus Oregon. I don't know. You know what? Maybe Wisconsin versus Oregon. I don't know.
Maybe at some point.
Maybe, right?
RJ.
No, you don't know. You don't know. No.
No, I'm actually thinking of what you said is that the fate of WCE is on the line this Saturday.
The fate of WCE is on the line, yes, because Pierce has come in here and he's steamrolled over everybody, and Sinister is back on top as the all-out champion, and that's obviously something that a lot of people are driven crazy about. And I
do my best work when I'm on the clock and I'm up against the walls facing the odds. I did it last year. Mm-hmm. I did it last year at Ring of Destruction against Sean Jovi. And I not only beat him, I pushed him to rise to the occasion and get his first interstate title. That loss to Pierce, that also has given me more motivation to walk in, to rise to the occasion, and not only defeat James Marshall and Sinister to become the WCE All Out champion, gives me motivation to declare that this is the era of Crenson, because I'm going to take everything that I'm owed, and I'm starting with that All Out championship at rise to the occasion. So James, you have those pinfall advantages over me. You have those advantages over me. Sinister, I've had those advantages over you. You have these advantages in title matches. You have Pierce in your back pocket, possibly. I might have Darkfire in my back pocket. Nah, I might not need that. James, somebody could
And
help
that's if
James if they want
Darkfire
to.
can survive Mr. Brightside, because we know what's on the line there. Number one
But
contender to the interstate title. Go ahead.
nonetheless, I'm going to walk into rise to the occasion, and I'm going to put everything I have on the line to become champion again. I'm going to put my body, my soul, my sweat, my tears, my blood, everything. You're going to have to freaking kill me to just stop me. And think, don't think you can do that, because here's the thing. I've tried, and I still keep kicking. I still keep getting up.
We're
I'm
gonna
a
find
man who
out.
can't die, and I'm going to take my crown.
Well, we're gonna find out if Nicholas Crenson becomes Crenson Two Belts and wins that WCE All Out Championship. We'll certainly say time will tell. That's obviously going to be the big question. But also here, let me get to a few more comments. Also, Ashley wanted to say she liked the design on your hardcore tag team title, but she would de-rust the barbed wire. Tetanus is no joke. Has anybody
Uh,
actually gotten tetanus before?
I have my tetanus shot, so I don't have to worry
Good.
about it. But I
I
know.
actually wonder if anybody's gotten tetanus before. And is tetanus still a thing? Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
question. We'll move on.
yeah,
Oh, it is.
it is still a thing, but usually most people will get the will usually, unless you got the anti-vaxxer people, but usually most people will get the tetanus vaccine if they're smart.
Gotcha. Okay, I didn't realize tetanus was a thing, but we'll move on to that. Away from it because I don't want to talk
Actually,
about.
you're required. I know at one point we had to do it in my high school, and then I think I did one in like when I was little, and then high school they had to do one at our high school to
Oh,
make sure everybody was up to date on it.
well, that's a great conversation for a different time. But let me
Yeah,
get some James Taylor comments because I don't really want to talk about vaccines. That gives me a headache because I don't
right.
want a headache anymore. James Taylor wants to know: does you, Nicholas Crenson, think that you can take the legendary nemesis James Taylor now that he's back back in the ring returning? And he said it's a random question, but he's genuinely curious, as he always is.
Honestly,
Yeah, that's what he wants to know.
I
James Taylor.
think I could. I think I
Okay.
could take Mr. Taylor.
Okay.
No, and that's no knock on him. You know, I think he'd have just as much fighting chance against me
Mhm.
as well. So, but I do think I could give him a good run for his money, and I just might be able to beat him. I might be able to tap him out. I might be able to choke him out. I might be able to pin him. I mean, I have so many ways I can
Where would that
dispatch
take
people.
place? Where would that take place?
I don't know. I mean, there are different areas of the country you could go to. I could find a way down to his neck of the woods. Could go to Tennessee. I could go to Michigan and cause some chaos in his own Fed.
Ooh, oh, well, hold on to that thought because I'm going to ask you about something. I'm going to put a poster up for a second for because that's going to certainly. We'll get to some final thoughts on WC in about 5 or 10 minutes, but there's something I want to talk about for a few minutes with you. Side note on that: tetanus is still a thing. Most people get the tetanus shot as it's readily available. Thank you for letting me know on tetanus. I did not know tetanus was such a thing. I thought you said Tetris was
Tetris, the Tetris shot.
I was like, first of all, I played Tetris, but I didn't realize the Tetris shot was still such a thing. But I do appreciate that there is still such a thing for shots. And if people would like to get them, that's between them and their God. But speaking of things, I would love to ask you an opinion on, because I was talking obviously about some different things and such, and I'm sure you heard by now that there's another thing coming up November 9th to November 10th, and it's in a place you've certainly visited before, and it's a little thing called a Backyard Havoc, and it's being hosted once again by our very good friends in DKW, and yes, the DKW, and it's also a partnership with, well, another company called All Legendary Wrestling, which is obviously a part of, well, Big Man Cam, I think, is a part of that company. We've got some guys in there like Judas, who is here, Trey Mysticality, and we've got KP Mars, Justin, Jerry, and we know in DKW, we've got Matthew Forsaken, we've got Joe Stone, we've got a slew of big stars here in our circuit. And I was wondering, as I put this poster up and such, for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, what do you think about the latest thing called the Backyard Brawl? And is that something that you're eyeing or looking at to participate in, because you've obviously participated already in this little thing called Summer Bash?
Possibly Backyard Havoc.
Backyard Havoc. If it's called Backyard Havoc, it's
And
HAVAC, and it's being presented by DKW and ALW November 9th to 10th in Bremen, Ohio, which was the home of Summer Bash. And everybody might be thinking, oh, summer's over, everybody's out, and it's over, there's no more shows, and the season's over. But no, not so fast. Backyard Havoc is going to change the game as we know it.
I mean, it's right at the kind of the middle ending area of fall, beginning of winter, like that perfect crossover time.
Yeah.
But you know what? Depending on how schedules work out, I might have to find my way to Bremen, Ohio again. And
do you miss Bremen? It's already been over a month. Do you miss Bremen?
Oh, dude, it was fun. It was freaking fun being there and just getting to be with, meet and hang out with Kron, Forsaken, Joe Stone, D'Angelo the Flame, Anthony Steele, freaking, Drake Golddragon was pretty cool. Justin Parsley, all the, the IMF crew, Soldier, Omen.
But you work with those guys, but guys like Big Man Cam, who were a part of
Man Cam.
Big Man Cam.
I would. Okay, two matches I would love to see at some point. One is I would love to be in the ring against Big Man Cam.
Are you sure you want Big Man Cam though?
Dude, yes, the dude is probably one of the biggest men, and he actually hits like a freaking big man.
And you want that? You want to go up against a guy?
I love that.
Size 39. You sure?
Yeah, I love that. And the reason why I say I love that is because of, and I've mentioned him before. The other person I'd love to see Big Man Cam face, Pierce. Just imagine those two against each other.
That's the Backyard Havoc. I mean, that would obviously have to take place there. I mean, we know Jovi and Big Man Cam have history. We know that they have a little bit of history down there in Bremen. But, I mean, you think that you might be interested in this, huh?
I just might be.
Well, if you think you're interested in it, I mean, obviously it's November 9th to 10th, and you know how to get to Bremen, Ohio. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
How to get there, and you think that Dark Kron would say, Nicholas, come on down and have
I think he would love to see me and especially Jovi.
You talked about high places, right? You talked about the All Out Championship going in higher places. Was that correct?
Yes,
you did. So should you be lucky enough, or from your vantage point, you win this Saturday and you win that All Out Championship and you hang on to it until November 9th to November 10th, would you then be possibly taking the WCE All-Out Championship to Bremen, Ohio? And would you be prepared to defend that championship against, I don't know, Anybody in DKW, ALW, and whoever else is showing up to the Backyard Havoc.
I would love to. I'd love to be able to do that because what that does is that heightens the belt, being able to defend it not just on your home turf, but being able to defend it outside in other places like IMF, like a DKW, like an XCW, like a TBW, Resurrection Pro, like RWW.
But we know Sinister, he's the champion. He ain't defending it.
No, because he likes to take it easy.
No, because he knows that he's got to control the narrative. He's got to make sure he stays on top and have packs with Jonathan Pierce. But the facts are is that should you win this championship, I mean, just maybe you take that title to Bremen and maybe you get your wish against Big Man Cam. He's the CBW World Champion, the XCW New Age Champion. Maybe you square off against him. Maybe you square off with, I don't know, Judas, the evil angel of the Backyard and Underground Wrestling Circuit. Maybe you want to square off against KP Mars, Trey Mysticality, who was just the ALW International Champion. Maybe you want to square off against Justin. Justin's the current ALW World Champion. Maybe you and Matthew Forsaken. You guys know each other. You've shared a locker room with each other a couple of times. Maybe you want to square off with Joe Stone. Maybe you want to square off with anybody else that might be there. And you really want to open the door? You really want to go out there and change the game? You better go win this Saturday. If you want to go change the game a bit, ladies and gentlemen, you want to go out there and make a scene, make a move, then it's the pressure that's all on you, Nicholas Crenson, because if you win this Saturday and you can hang on to that WC All-Out Championship for a couple of months, maybe we could see you defending that championship in another place, in another state. Sure, we could see Sinister or James Marshall hold the title, but they ain't going to take that title cross country. They ain't going to take it across the Mason-Dixon line. They're not going to be interstate. You, on the other hand, have an opportunity, should you win this championship, maybe to see, is Nicholas Crenson, is he really the all-out champion? Is he the all-out champion of the Midwest? Is he the guy? He's Crenson 2 belts now, and Daddy's looking for belts, and talking about Sinister being this and Sinister being that. Maybe it's you who's got to go out there and win this Saturday, and then maybe once again return to Bremen one more time before the new year is out, and really see if you've come this far and have this quote unquote summer of Crenson to now really change the game and defend that championship against maybe some of the very best in the Ohio backyard and the underground wrestling circuit.
I love the pressure, Tom. And I am so excited.
Well, we're going to find out, because you know what? We're going to find out here, because you got a championship match coming up here this Saturday. Rise to the occasion, the 3rd anniversary. And we're going to see what happens here at the Backyard Havoc coming up November 9th to 10th. And one more time, it's also going to be sponsored by our friends at DKW and ALW. And also, I want to go out there and put this link up, because we have a new website on Instagram where you can check out and support our friends over at Backyard Havoc. And if you want to follow them, all you have to do is go right here and make sure you support them and go out and support the cause and everything that they're doing. Obviously, a bunch of my stuff's on their page, and you want to go check them out. That's the page. So get in touch with them. You can see some of the people already. And I mean, just maybe you'll see some Backyard Havoc with some guys like Nicholas Crenson. And obviously, there's a couple of comments I'll get to, so we'll keep this up on the screen for a second. You might be thinking of tuberculosis. It's a thing, but it's so rare. Yeah, tuberculosis. Wasn't that a thing like in the 50s? I mean, but that's a different conversation for a different time. Yes, it's November 9th to 10th, and that's Mr. Darkron. Obviously, he heard the news, and he said Big Man Cam's not afraid of any challenge. Well, we'll have to find out. That's for sure. And
nice.
KCW for life. We'll move on from one of your former proteges. We'll certainly thank him for tuning in, but we certainly know that Nicholas Crenson's got important things on the horizon. Okay, so obviously we got that here. In the interest of time, let's go with a couple things. So what are your final thoughts, first of all, to James Marshall and Sinister ahead of this weekend, Rise to the Occasion, Anniversary 3?
You boys prepared to die? That's
I
what
don't
you
know.
have, because that's what I'm prepared to do. I'm prepared to die. And I'm going to go all in for that all-out championship. I am going to risk it all. When I say you're going to have to kill me, stop me, I mean it.
Okay.
Sinister, James, you two are the perfect opponents for this. Because, like I said, when my back's against the wall, I do my best work. Whether that's being nonchalant, being a new messiah, or whether that's just straight up being the Psycho Wolf.
Should you win this Saturday in your career, what would winning the All Out Championship rank?
Honestly,
Yeah, what would it rank?
it'd probably be at the top.
Why?
Because it's 20 years of work coming to a head. It's 20 years of experience learning, having those hiatuses, coming back, training, getting into the best shape of my life. The last time I was under 200 pounds, Tom, I was I was 17 years old.
I was gonna say 8. I was like, wow, okay, you under 200 pounds. I would think you at 8 you'd be under 200 pounds.
Yeah, I was definitely. But I was like 17 years old, and that is when I won my first major championship. Now I have the experience. I have had those years to learn and study and also soak it in. This weekend, rise to the occasion. This is going to be the best version of me stepping into the ring, going toe to toe with James Marshall, with Sinister. And I'm expecting their hardest shots to come at me. And their hardest shots are not going to be enough. They're not. Tom, I'm going to take that all-out championship and I'm going to take it. I'm going to grasp it. And then anybody who wants it, they're welcome to try to take it out of my cold, goddamn dead hands.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be, let's just say, Nicholas Crenson's opportunity to rise to the occasion this weekend. I've got one more question for you, but before I do that, hello there. Who am I speaking with? What's up, man? With an N. I don't know. It's Nolan. Who's let me know who is it. I think I might know who it is, but I see it's Nolan.
I'm not sure.
So will you tell me who you are in a minute? And before I do that, I will ask you one final question before I get to closing thoughts here. And thank you, Nolan, for tuning in. Which yes. Oh, I know who it is. Oh, yes, it's Nolan McDermott. Oh, yes, from our friend over at STBW. You actually know them. You know who they are.
Oh yeah, I've seen some other stuff.
We had Tyler Fury here on Sportswire. We're gonna get Nolan.
Oh, Tyler Fury, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, Tyler Fury, yes, that's who it is. STBW was here 2 weeks ago. They obviously the famous thing where Tyler Fury got beat up on the air. Yeah, that was with Dalton and Nolan and that's STBW. You know them. You were at he wrestled Felix Jones a couple of times. That was
yeah, he has, and I think they have a couple other people that have come from there.
STBW. Dalton's been a part of it. You got Nolan McDermott. You got they're a nice little company that they're in Illinois. They're in the state of Illinois, actually. That's where you might
recognize them.
Another feature company for Nicholas Crenson. Boy, Nicholas Crenson taking over companies. I mean, who knows? Nolan's going to be here on Sportswire very soon. Thank you for reminding me, Nolan. You'll be here before the end of the month because we're going to have a conversation. I just have to find the date. Thank you for reminding me and showing up on the screen. And hit the sub button for me because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. I'm at 849 right now, so I'd like to get to 850 by the 90s. I'd really like to get to 850. I'm one away. And while you're at it, Nolan, hit the sub button for WCE because WCE is trying to get to 625 subs, and they're right there. So hit the sub button for WCE. WCE's got some really big shows coming up, and I'm going to definitely speak with you, Nolan, when we're off the air. Please support those who support us. And also, Nolan, the news also is DKW and ALW have a show coming up called Backyard Havoc, and I'm not quite sure how far it is from Illinois to Ohio, but it takes place November 9th to the 10th, and I can certainly put you in the right place to connect with the
Man,
right people.
all these super shows in other states almost makes me feel like, if there's only like a yard somewhere around here that was really big, belonged to somebody, and maybe I could manage to get a ring and we could do a super show around here maybe someday.
Well. I mean, you just never know what could happen. I mean, listen. I mean, Illinois is not too far from Wisconsin. Maybe we could see STBW and WCE. Maybe we
I
could see.
I I could also say like there's certain people that were at Summer Bash that maybe be tempted to come up here just because of like maybe they not only want to wrestle, come hang out and wrestle.
I've heard through the grapevine. Before I ask you that final question, I've heard through the grapevine. There's a guy that apparently just announced he's no longer wrestling in UWA, Underground Wrestling Alliance. He's been seen in TBW, Resurrection Wrestling. He's been seen in his own company, BYCW. And his name is Dalton Skull. And I've heard apparently Dalton Skull is coming up to the state of Wisconsin in the month of October. And maybe
Ooh,
he's a big
I
name.
I would welcome Mr. Skull with open
And he's a
arms.
free agent right now. We know that he's no longer under contract in UWA. He's left there. He was the last PWF Uprising champion. We know that he's a guy that's a very respected name in the backyard wrestling circuit. He's a guy. I mean, could you
I love it.
imagine him here in WCE come in October?
I would honestly I would welcome it. More people, the more the merrier. And because he has that reputation.
He's a guy that all of a sudden you want to talk about game changers. You want to talk about guys that if they're here, I mean, the matchups he could have, Dalton Skull. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Dalton Skull. I mean, if he's not in UWA, I'm sure WCE, I'm sure we can get that one right and maybe make it happen. I mean, that would be something I'd love to see. So who knows? The Wild Wild West is opened. We've got the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Tournament ahead in August 24th, 2 weeks from today. We've got, obviously, Backyard Havoc. We've got Summer Bash 3, sub to WC. Yes, absolutely. Money is on his way, and money's on his way to Sportswire Radio very, very soon by this month. Final question for you before closing thoughts. These next 2 weekends, you're fighting for the All Out Championship. I would presume that you're going to be defending those hardcore tag titles as well. Are these the 2 biggest weekends of your career coming up?
Yes. Yes, they are for different reasons. I haven't gotten for sure what we're doing next weekend for IMF. I've heard whispers, but I haven't gotten that confirmed just yet. But the fact that this weekend I'm going after a title that, yes, I have the odds stacked against me, but I love it that way, Tom. That makes that definitely one of the most important matches of my career. And honestly, if you don't treat every weekend, I'm going to do this. Every match from now on out is going to be a most important match of my career because I got to treat it that way if I want to make a difference and get that title. I need to treat every single match I have in the future as that the most important in the career.
Well, you know what? I'd like to actually, if I could, before we sign off, I'd like to thank somebody because I just got to 850 subs.
Yeah.
And that 850th subscriber, Jason Bolera. Jason Bolera, I want to thank you
Good
so
thing.
much. Jason, you are the man. You got me one step closer. I'm 150 away. I'm 150 away from the roast of Tom Bryce on Sportswire Radio. That tattoo, I'm right there. So I'm 50 away from 900, and I got to 50 from 800 in just a matter of minutes. I mean, it took me nothing from 800 to 850. It took me literally like a couple of weeks. And I want to thank you, my friend, for getting me to 850. I can't thank you enough. I really, without the people continuing to tune in, wanting Sportswire every night. I mean, we do these shows sometimes with 15 minutes notice, 20 minutes notice, an hour notice, and yet I am finally there. I'm at 850 subs. That means I'm 150 away. So what that means right now is that my birthday is October the 7th. So my birthday from here is about 60 days from now. So what I want to the people, whoever you're out there, whoever it is, whether you're in Discord chats with me, whether you're in Facebook Messenger groups, your friends, family, supporters, I want you to get me to 1,000 subs. I don't want anything else. I don't need any money. I don't need any gift cards. I don't need cameo videos like Big Man Cam gave me. I want you to tell your friends, to tell their friends, to get me to 1,000 subscribers by my birthday. We got 60 days. I'm 150 away. So you know the challenge. You got to get me there. Get me to 850. You've pushed me this close. You've made Sportswire Radio the only platform that's in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters. And I can't thank you enough for getting me there. I know I'm going to get there, but now I want to get to 1,000 by my birthday. That's what I'm saying. It's October 7th. It's less than 2 months from now officially. You have to get me to 1,000 subs. So, Jason, I want to thank you. You tune in anytime. I'm on Instagram at the Sports Report 2021. I'm on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. I'm on Twitch at Sportswire Radio. I'm on Discord at Sportswire Radio. X at Thomas Bryce 2017. I'm on so many other ways you can connect with me. Just go out there and do it. And it's going to be money because Nolan Money McDermott's going to be on Sportswire Radio very, very soon. And STBW is the place to be. And I just want to say, before I get to comments and closing thoughts, I can't thank people enough for choosing Sportswire to be the only platform where you get the backyard, the underground, the independent, where you get the pros, the hardcore guys. Everybody's here is welcomed, and that's why I'm here every day. I'm here multiple times a day. It doesn't matter, rain, sleet, snow, heat, sickness, death. I mean, I'll be in my grave probably on sports. Maybe Nicholas Crenson will take over on Sports by Radio. Who knows? But the facts are is that
It could.
you never know. I mean, maybe James Taylor. Well, he always wants to be on Sportswire. He might take over. The subs would go up if James Taylor runs Sportswire. But obviously, let me get to some comments here because people are excited. And I'm very excited for the people. Thank you so much for all of your support. James gave a blue emoji. What does the blue emoji mean?
I'm not sure. I'm not really versed in emojis that much.
What does the blue emoji mean? But thank you. Yes, we want to thank Jason. Jason, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. And Ashley said, sorry, sidestep to my what are you watching? Back to business. And I'm glad. Thank you for obviously supporting Sportswire. I'm at 850 subscribers now on YouTube. That's a great day. It's a great feeling. And it means that the people want to be on Sportswire Radio and they support. They want to tune in. So the fact that I'm right there. It's been a grind. People tell me all the time it's been a grind, but you've made it a grind and you've made it every day where, I'm fortunate I can do this. I'm fortunate that I can be able to dedicate the time to the people, but the people tell you if you're doing a good job or not. And I think that you have told me that I am your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. And I just want to say thank you and congratulations really to you because you have made this a platform that, I'm going to get there. It means, oh my God, I can't believe you got there. Yeah, right. You probably, knowing you, James, we speak all the time. You were like, why aren't you at 850 already? I'm like, well, I've only been dedicating my time on YouTube for a year and a half. That's why, because I was always on Facebook. I was more of the WC guys. I was big on Facebook. I have 2,300 followers.
You still haven't gotten that signature profile? Oh my!
No, but I'm actually. But ironically enough, when I put the reels on Facebook from Instagram, I get a small monthly wage from Instagram reels going to Facebook. It's not a lot. What I make, but I'm getting it. So that's right. The trade. The trade in is that I'm monetized on Facebook, but it's like it's like peanuts. You'd laugh at what I get per month. But yes, I get something, and YouTube, we're at 1,000. Tom, you set up a warm, welcoming environment for underground folks, and you've been a part of that. I always appreciate all that you do. I don't know what you're talking about, boss man. He's obviously playing with me. I think in time you can reach a bigger audience. listen, it's really what you make it. I think it's getting there. I think if you looked at 6 months ago before we sign off, like the average view per show to the view it is now, where it'll be in 6 months, I think it'll continue to increase. It takes time. I think if you looked at my YouTube shows a year and a half ago, they probably averaged 30 or 40 views. Now they average in the hundreds. I think in 6 months from now, they'll go up. We have shows with 300 views, 350 views. So, it's all on the eye of the beholder. But again, I'm on TikTok at Sportswire Radio. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on other things, and they get more views. Okay, we got the point. I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. I'm going to put up your Instagram page in a second. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? I pass the baton to you.
Yes, you mentioned my Instagram page, also my YouTube at Nicholas Crenson, my Facebook page for Nicholas Crenson as well. The WCE page, both Facebook, the website, WCEheat.com, YouTube's at WCE Heat. And as for my closing thoughts now, I'm just going to reiterate it again. James, Sinister, I am prepared to die. I am prepared to do everything to become champion. And also buy my merch, kids. So I will see you both.
And I own a shirt, by the way.
I love that. I love that, by the way.
I do own it.
But I will see you, Sinister, and you, James Marshall. You're gonna have to kill me to stop me, because I'm walking out with that all out championship, and I will be daddy 2 belts. See you in the ring, boys.
Well, we'll certainly find out. You want to buy some merchandise? I own a Nicholas Crenson shirt. You can do that. You can go to WCHeat.com, WC Heat on Facebook and YouTube. Check him out on Threads and Instagram, Endeku, all with underscores from each letter. Go out there and support him. Support those who support us and are a part of the All Wrestling Matters movement. Final comment from Mr. Taylor. It's definitely a grind. This channel has been an experiment on that. What I'm learning is I'm going up and ending up channels and all social medias. Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's definitely a grind. I could tell you that it is. But I mean, if you look at, I'm on Instagram. I'm at 1,700 followers almost. Facebook, I'm monetized. I'm at 2,400 followers almost. X, I'm at 3,000 followers. TikTok, I'm already at almost 200 followers. Yeah, it's a grind. But you know what? The people, they'll tell you whether you're doing a good job. And I tend to think that you've done a good job, James. I think that Sportswire's done a good job. I think that almost at 1,000 subscribers tells you that the people seem like they're enjoying it. I think the backyard and underground wrestling circuit knows there's only one home. There's only one place that will cover you in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage where wrestling, all of it matters. And that's Sportswire Radio. And I think that the people, they've already decided that they've elected Sportswire Radio. And I think that it is a grind, but it's been worth it because I've met a lot of great people like Nicholas Crenson, like Ashley, like James Taylor, like Nolan Money McDermott, who I'm going to meet, and a lot of other people that are here every night. And I think that the viewership tells you that. I got, a dozen plus people right now live, and I had no notice. Definitely going to be watching. Let's go, Nicholas, get that second strap. We'll find out. I'll tell you that much, and I'm excited to see. My friend, we'll see if you are going to be Crenson 2 belts. I know I'm going to see you here Thursday before All Out Warfare. You're before then going to have to rise to the occasion. We'll see if it's going to be your moment. Will it be a summer of Crenson? Time will tell. And congratulations, my friend. Thank you so much for all you do for us. And looking forward to seeing you Thursday. And you're always here anyway. So it's really just you're a regular. You're one of the guys, like I said, all time in history with appearances. But for good reasons, you've been a good friend and even a better person over the past 2 years. Can't wait to watch the match. And looking forward to seeing you then, my friend. And we'll talk about it next Thursday.
Talk to you then, buddy.
All right, that was Nicholas Crenson, who's one half of the IMF Hardcore Tag Team Champions. He'll be in action coming up here this Saturday for the WC All-Out Championship against James Marshall and Sinister. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. If you are on Sportswire Radio, you're going to go back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, X, LinkedIn, I'm here tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, recapping SmackDown, recapping AEW news, other things. You name it, I'll talk about it. And I'll also be here coming up with Isaiah Rage Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. For you're an IMF fan, you're going to want to do this one because Isaiah Rage, boy, I cannot wait to have him on here. It's going to be a good one. Thursday, also, we're going to be here, I believe, at 10 o'clock Eastern time for the IMF boys. Nicholas will be a part of that, all that warfare, plus much, much more. One more time, thank you so much, everybody, for getting me to that 850 subscriber milestone. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one Global Radio Station, where Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling